Hello and welcome to Uniko's Ink and Flip Week. I'm hoping you have enjoyed the week on the blog where we've revisited all the Uniko Ink and Flip stencils. We started with Ink and Flip Star, then we did Ink and Flip Snowflake, Ink and Flip Geometric Heart Layering Stencil. And today we are introducing a brand new stencil, which is Geometric Butterfly Layering Stencil. So this is what it looks like when it is packaged. And there's some brief instructions on the back there. And just like the heart, it comes in 2 layers to create 2 separate parts that can be used individually or combined together to create the cards. So here are the couple of cards that I have on the blog, on the website blog today. We have our brand ambassador blog hop as well. So there is lots of inspiration. This first card, I've used the butterfly on its own. I've done it in dragon fruit and then cleaned the stencil and then flipped it and then done the second half in Oceanside, which pair beautifully together. This sentiment is from Floral Vines. It's one of my favourites. It's the same font as the Everyday Sentiments. And as you can see, apart from the sentiment, it's a pretty 1-layer card. Now this is the first card I actually made when I was testing the stencil, when it first dropped through my letterbox. I picked up honeysuckle and poppy for the background, and then Oceanside and buttercup for the butterfly. As you can see, there are a couple of sort of little areas where I've rushed with my inking a little bit and it seeped underneath in the edges. But I took my time on this one, so it's a little bit neater with the butterfly. So yeah, don't get too excited like I do when you get new products. And then this sentiments from Everyday Sentiments, I just kept it nice and simple, didn't add a lot of embellishment, but there is a lot you can do with these stencils. So I decided that I'd do a little video just to show you how it is used. And it's a great reminder really for how these ink and flip stencils work. So I've cut a square of Whisper White card from Stampin' Up, and I actually went ahead and marked at 6.5 and 6.5, just so I can centralise it here on my grid paper. It just makes, you don't have to do it central. There are some beautiful cards the team have made where they aren't as central and they are a bit off skew and things, and you can get some lovely results. Just moving you down into view a little bit, so I know you're in the centre there. So if I'm going to use both, if I know I'm going to use both layers, I tend to always start with the base layer with the background. I call this the background layer. I just find it helps me centre things a little bit. And you can see here on the stencil, I've used the Sharpie just to mark the centre inside the border of my stencil, so it's not actually the centre from corner to corner as such, but almost. The border is a little bit different, could possibly be different on each. So I noticed that there was a challenge, a colour challenge, I think it's called Colour Hues, and they were using pink and yellow. So I thought I would use them colours that inspired me a little bit for this card. So I'm actually going to start with the pink, and I'm not going to use that brush because it feels a little bit off. You know, when they just feel a bit like that one needs a clean. That one needs a clean, definitely. So I'm just going in here with my honeysuckle, and I tend to sort of start on the stencil or start off and come in. It just helps a little bit to erase the sort of brush marks as such, if you're going in to with like a solid colour. Just gives a bit of a more even tone, that you're not going straight in with a big dollop of ink on your brush. I've seen a few people sort of dab on there and then go in. I just find if I am starting off and I'm circling into the stencil or the area where I want the ink to be. Sometimes I'm a little bit slower. I'm going quite fast today because I don't want to keep you here forever on this video. It is literally just to show you how this stencil works, and then I'll let you run wild with it. I am sure there are lots of ideas floating around people's heads on how to use this stencil. I think the brand ambassadors have done an outstanding job this week with their inspiration. I know Vanita has joined in and shared up until Ink and Flip Butterfly. Due to family death, she hasn't been able to continue with this release, but I am sure she will be back soon, and we send her, I know you'll join me in sending deepest sympathies and condolences to her at this sad time. Anyway, so that is why, if you're wondering and you've been joining in with the blog hop, that her posts haven't taken you, her link hasn't taken you to her blog at this moment. Anyway, we wish you well, Vanita, and we will get back to this card. So there is the design of one layer when you've inked and flipped. You could leave it like that if you wanted to, and then you could do the butterfly and embellish in the front, and that would give you a different fun abstract look. So there's lots of ideas really with this stencil. So I've just got a cloth and I'm just cleaning the ink off, and then I'm going to dry it. And it's really easy to line up to flip. So that was the, if I don't throw it about, that's the way I've had it. And then you're literally going to flip it over once it's clean and dry. And then you're just going to lay it over, and before you move it, secure it in place. I'm just using this Scotch tape. It's super handy for securing your stencils. You could use your stamp wheel or your waffle flower grippy mats. There's quite a few of them on the market now. I think different companies have brought them out that can hold your stencils in place. I just always seem to work on this grid paper. It saves me cleaning up a little bit. Once my paper gets really messy and used, I just rip it off and go to the next one underneath. I'm not one for messing about with too much cleaning. in between while I'm crafting. So now I'm going to go in with the buttercup and just go over these layers. As you've seen from some of the samples, you don't have to just stick to 2 colours. I've done some this week that are ombre, so I've done two shades of greens on each side of the ink and flip. You can do rainbow, you could ink, and then you could add embossing paste to one layer. There are so many options out there. So hopefully there'll be sort of an orange tint where the yellow overlaps with the pink to give and show the background. I've tried to design it that it gives sort of like a sunburst effect as well behind the butterfly. But I really did enjoy designing this, and it was an absolute delight when I tested this stencil. So I have the circuit maker, cricut maker, however you'd like to call it. So when I design stencils, I always test them out. On my circuit maker, I do a test cut. I had a couple of issues this time. It wouldn't accept my SVG file. I have no idea why, but I eventually got it, and I eventually got it cut, and I tested it, and I was like, yes, this is it. This is the one. And just like the heart, I had to do it in the 2 layers because I just think it gives more options, creative options for you really. So I'm almost done here. I'm just gonna go over this bottom square a little bit more, but you'll see. And even though you can see through the stencil, the magic happens when you take this layer off. I think it just really shows how these ink and flips work. And there is the reveal. So you could actually leave it like this, and then you could add a sentiment in between. If you were feeling really brave and really creative, you could use masking paper. You could do that on and create a negative and then stamp a pattern inside the butterfly space. There are so many options, but I thought I'd show you how to then infill the butterfly if you wanted to combine both the cards. So for example, I created, I shared this on the website blog on Thursday, which was this card, and I've used exactly the same colours as I did on the background, which created this seamless sort of look to my card. That it was all one stencil, but it is in actual fact 2, so you could do that. But I'm going to use a couple of shades of grey just to make the butterfly pop a little bit against the background colour. Now you can see through, and the border is quite fine, but you can see through to place your butterfly. And you're just gonna put it inside in the window, secure it down, And just like with the background layer, you're going to go in with your first colour of ink. So I'm going to go in with, I've chosen a couple of Alt New Greys, Grey Denim and Cloudy Night. And I'm just going to go in with the lighter one first. Now, as I said at the beginning, just make sure your ink isn't too juicy, because it can seep up under the edges a little bit. I was obviously so excited that I was really heavy-handed with my inking and stenciling before, but I'm just going in lightly with this shade of grey. You could use any colours, but I just chose grey because I thought it'd stand out just a little bit against the bright background, and I wanted something neutral. And there is your first layer, and again you could leave it like this. I think Izzy did a card with the geometric heart where it looks like I haven't actually read the whole post on her blog yet, but it looks like she did a layer with like white embossing paste, and it looked absolutely beautiful. So we did it that way. I've just cleaned and dried my stencil, and now I am going to flip it. So with the inside of this butterfly, the center of the butterfly does join together. There isn't a gap, so that is an indicator on lining up your stencil, as well as sort of using the sort of borders as the white outlines as a guide. I don't always get it perfect, but I think the imperfections of a handmade card show that it is handmade and not printed as such, so there is a beauty to it. So I'm just going to go in with the darker shade of grey. You could use exactly the same colour, you don't have to use two different colours, but I've chosen two colours just to purely show how this stencil works and builds up. And I might even go back and add some glitter maybe to the butterfly, just so it stands out a little bit more against the background, and it would take sort of the harshness, even though they're softer greys, they're not like solid, they are on the softer side. It'd just take the harshness and add a little sort of delicacy to the greys. So I might go back in and add some sparkle later, and then I will share this card on social media once I have done that. So there is the reveal there. As you can see, I have got a slight little gap in the middle. It just how I've placed the stencil, but it still looks fabulous. I'm sure you will agree with me. So this is Ink Flip Geometric Butterfly Layering Stencil. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you've checked out the blog and had a look at the beautiful inspiration the team have shared. We will be back again tomorrow, Saturday, with our usual brand ambassador blog hop, with the formal release of this stencil, and it'll also be available on the website to purchase. So thank you again for joining me, and see you all again soon. Bye for now.